Trayon White has been arrested by the FBI. That arrest came just hours ago. The council's office confirmed that the Ward 8 council member seen here back in February was arrested earlier this afternoon. The FBI's Washington field office has not specified why Councilmember White was arrested or what charges he may face. Trayon White was first elected to the D.C. Council back in 2016. He just won re-election. WUSA 9 is following this developing story, and you can be certain we'll have more details as they become available.
More breaking news out of the district. This story coming in moments before we came on the air. A D.C. council member is under arrest tonight. According to law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation, federal authorities arrested Ward 8 D.C. council member Trayon White today. We want to take a look outside the scene earlier this afternoon. This is outside of his apartment in Southeast D.C., where you can see agents were trying to access White's car. The circumstances surrounding White's arrest are not known tonight. News 4 is still working to learn more information. What we can tell you is that White remains in custody. White was first elected to city council in 2016. This story is still developing, and we'll bring you the very latest on the NBC Washington app, and also look for the very latest on News 4 at 11.
Today we will discuss Council Member Trayon White, arrested by the FBI. D.C. Council Chairman Phil Mendelson has confirmed that Council Member Trayon White was arrested by agents with the Federal Bureau of Investigations Sunday afternoon. Mendelson told Fox 5 that he did not know that White was even being investigated and is still waiting to learn more about the charges and where exactly White was taken into custody. "I'm anxious to get more details to understand what the situation is," Mendelson told Fox 5. "You all know as much as I know." Fox 5 is working to learn the details of the arrest and what charges White faces. White has been an outspoken advocate for community safety in D.C. He oversees Ward 8, which has seen levels of high crime. Information on the charges have not yet been released, but a few months back, the news reported that Trayon owed $80,000 in campaign-related fines. D.C. Ward 8 council member Trayon White reportedly owes thousands in fines connected to campaign-related funds. The Washington City paper reported last week that the D.C. Office of Campaign Finance levied a $20,000 fine against White and his campaign treasurer. On top of that, OCF says White owes nearly $59,000 in public funds he received through D.C.'s Fair Elections program. The Fair Elections program is a relatively new program where candidates can be eligible for some public financing. If a candidate receives that money, though, it's subject to a pretty thorough audit with reporting requirements. White has utilized the Fair Elections program in the last 2 election cycles, including his 2022 mayoral campaign. OCF has noted some issues with the reporting. Since 2020, White's campaign has had to file several amended reports with OCF. In a subsequent civil filing, White said he was unaware of these issues and seemed to lay much of the blame on that campaign's treasurer. The treasurer spoke to Fox 5 and said that all the requirements were a lot, and she's worked to remedy the situation. For White's 2022 mayoral race, the campaign said they closed the committee and filed an intent to return the $59,000. But the auditor's report from a few weeks ago says the documents they have put the campaign out of compliance with the D.C. Code. In the absence of a complete list of financial records and documentation necessary to fully conduct the audit staff cannot exhaustively substantiate the information contained in the Trayon White for Mayor 2022 reports of receipts and expenditures, reads the audit. Salim Adolfo is running against White for this coming Ward 8 election and acknowledges these reporting requirements are stringent but need to be done properly. Anyone can make a mistake, but we just want to make sure that as leaders that we do our best to prepare ourselves, but we also get people around us that can help us to make good decisions as well, said Adolfo. The treasurer for the 2022 mayoral campaign told Fox 5 she has no comment. Tuesday night, Fox 5 was able to ask White about the missing $59,000 in campaign funds. White says he is working with his attorney and his accountant to try and figure out exactly what happened. He declined to name who they were.
The Office of Campaign Finance with at least 2 active inquiries into the money spent by Ward 8 council member and former mayoral candidate Trayon White. The story was first reported by the Washington City paper. David Kaplan's digging more into the details for us tonight, and there's a lot going on here, so let's walk through what we need to know.
Yeah, Jim, you mentioned the two separate inquiries. In total, the D.C. Office of Campaign Finance, between those two, wants more information about $80,000. D.C. does have an option for candidates to have public funding as part of their campaigns. It's called the Fair Elections Program. As part of that, there are some pretty stringent reporting requirements tied to receiving that funding, and that's why we're talking about this here. Let's talk about those two separate things. In 2020, Councilmember Trayon White ran for re-election for his Ward 8 seat. According to the Office of Campaign Finance, the reports connected to that just weren't sufficient. They ultimately leveled a $20,000 fine on White and his treasurer 2 months ago. White followed a civil suit against the treasurer, saying he did not know that the reports were improperly filed, that he wanted to get to the bottom of this. Now, there have been amended reports since then, and that treasurer told me on the phone tonight she and White are working to get that resolved. She added that she was overwhelmed by the reporting requirements. Then there's the 2022 mayoral race, of which White was a candidate. According to the Office of Campaign Finance, the dollars spent were greater than the dollars received, to the tune of nearly $59,000. Quote, the Fair Elections Program Division recommends that the Trayon White for Mayor 2022 principal campaign be ordered to refund $58,906.29 to the D.C. Treasury, and this post-election audit report be issued as the audit report. Tonight, I spoke with Ward 8 candidate Salim Adofo. He's running against White in this upcoming council primary. He empathizes with White about the complexities of the reporting requirements, and he hopes this all gets resolved. Here's why.
Want to make sure that we have leaders that are in place that can make sure that they hold the public's trust in such a way that we don't compromise that. Public funds is something that we must be held accountable to.
I made multiple attempts to reach White today. I talked to his current campaign manager, his current staff at council who referred me to that campaign manager, talked to a couple of other people trying to get a hold of him, called numbers connected with his current 2024 race. We did not hear back. We'd like to ask him some questions about that, and certainly if we hear back from him, we'll be sure to pass those answers along to you. For his part, according to the Washington City paper, White said he is working to specifically get the $20,000 fine resolved, although in that Washington City report, he did not answer any questions about the 2022, that $59,000. I did reach out to the treasurer for that campaign by phone tonight. She told me she had no comment before hanging up on me. Back to you.
The streets would have a lot to say about council member Trayon White's arrest, and one person would say that Trayon is going to take Jimmy, aka ADC Son, with him. Jimmy can be seen here with Trayon, and he would post it next to a picture of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X with a caption saying, 10 years ago, we both knew we would change many lives in our families, community, and all throughout our city. It's never been easy growing up in Southeast DC. It's even harder to blaze a trail for so many others to follow or surpass. My brother for life, we came in the youngest to ever do it, and we will keep the legacy going. At Trayon White, I'm glad to be right with you, brother. Great night in the ward and community. 50 years is amazing. Jimmy is also the blood brother of Money 5 from DayZ, who was shot in the head multiple times and is paralyzed. Do you think more arrests are coming? That's the end of this video. Like, comment, subscribe.